it's greedy and it's really easy to take advantage of.
One of the cards that I really like in the Havencraft arsenal now is Judge of Retribution. I feel like that's such a great card. You get so much value off of dropping it, and in many ways I feel like leveraging those cards is going to be the key to finding a path to make Havencraft successful. But round of 16, game 1, Namian versus Lest, and lo and behold,
Dragon against Dragon.
What a surprise. Wow, look at their card backs. Is that Masamune? And
oh, that is Masamune.
Yeah.
I think it's Baphomet.
Baphomet, yeah. Yeah, cool. Dang, I want that. All right, opening hands.
There's a Dragon Oracle in the hand for Lest, and an Aelia now. That's going to be a great curve for him. With, what double Dragon Oracle coming out from that draw.
All right, it looks like we're just going to do the old, you know.
This game's going to ramp very fast.
We're doing the old, the
do-si-do.
Nondescript cartoon show where two people just yell at each other and power up. Yeah, you know.
I know what you're talking about.
Yep.
Took me a few seconds, but we're on the same page now.
We're on the same. Okay. Rarely are people on the same page with.
Man, those animated lightning blasts.
He's got 2 of them.
He's got double of them.
You know, Lightning Blast has been a very interesting card for me. I feel like in the late game, it actually is quite useful in the Dragoncraft matchup, especially because Ouroboros is such a popular card right now. But I feel like it's actually very hard to buy time to play that in the most effective way, Lightning Blast. Is ideally you want Lightning Blast to remove a card and then have your board available to swing. But it's hard to just set up that situation. We'll see if that actually matters.
Right, a great combo for Lightning Blast is to play Bahamas and then clears the board, and then next turn you hope that your opponent doesn't have a way to clear off. Maybe they think, oh, I'll just fill the board with followers so the Bahamas can't attack per face, and then you Lightning Blast yourself, and then you're able to go for face for 13 damage.
You're still on the Bahamas, are you?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Nice. You know, I support you. I support you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rainey.
I support you, Sterling. Hey, which Ayala do you think will die first?
That's 50-50, man. 50 Whoever decides to attack the other Aelia instead of going for face for 2 damage.
You know, it gets more dangerous the closer. So, for example, if you were to attack into the Ayala on your turn, then next turn you'll have 8, and then you'll be able to play Ouroboros, right? As opposed to if you attack in, that's going to boost the bottom player up to 7 play points, and that's going to not really, at least for
And that's
now,
what Namian decides to do.
Wow. He had the ESP, man.
He still has all 3 evolve points, so next turn playing Ouroboros, attacking for face, if Les decides to play follower this turn. And then on the next turns following, he's got Israfil on turn 9 with an evolve point to attack, doing that 2 damage to all enemy followers. And then a turn 10 Grimnir as well. I really like this hand for Namian.
Got some big cards. So one of the interesting things in hand here for Les is the 2 Dragon Scythers. So Overflow is active, of course, because they've been ramping so much, and I think they're going to be key for removal here. It's interesting because I feel like this is something we have only really seen in the Shadowverse Open very, very recently. So we'll see if that comes into play. I think that's the big difference here. They've got the Scyther in hand as opposed to the Lightning Blasts that Namian has. So who knows?
The difference is going to come for the being able to either banish or destroy your followers, because the Scythe, it has Storm and Bane. It can easily take out a follower, but it can't attack Forte, for example.
7 damage to face, and this is kind of a... This could be seen as a situation where you're trying to set up some kind of lethal kill on the next turn, but I don't think there's anything quite in hand for that yet. And there it is, the Scyther that we were talking about.
Turn 10 finally coming up for Namian. He's got all 3 of his evolved Lightning Blasts in hand. We'll see if he decides to Grimnir or Ouroboros. Both of those turns could be very effective, because there's no banishment in the hand for Lest. Now, I think Namian is obviously going to expect Lest to have Lightning Blast in his hand, but of course he doesn't.
I like the choice. You know, we were talking about the 8, 9, 10 play, thinking about Ouroboros, Israfil, Grimnir, but as he was drawing into options, he picked up the Forte. I like him playing that first. You get the instant storm damage on that, and then you force your opponent to play removal to take that out. And as you're pushing him out of options, that's just slowly making your Israfil more powerful, slowly making your Ouroboros more powerful, in case Lest had Lightning Blast in hand, which would be difficult for Namian to really know for sure.
And now Lest is one turn away from being able to play Genesis Dragon on the field. He's gonna Scyther this Grimnir way.
I think that's so it's interesting because the ramp went so far in favor of Namian, and I think that little extra bit of momentum might be the one thing that's going to help him close this game out.
The ramp in the cards as well. Lest is sitting on 2 Zells, a Grimnir for next turn if he wants to play that. But Namian has had a lot of great options to play, and he's been able to rack up the damage against Lest. It's 18 health to 9 health.
Let's see what the play is here. The board is empty, and so you can't really play for a trade, and there's no Storm in hand necessarily. And he's going to choose to draw in Rahab, I believe. I actually think that's a great option because you don't commit options that won't give you maximum benefit and also risk having them removed. The Rahab is safe because you're still holding on to your big options there, but you are threatening that ramp.
And there wasn't a follower for Israfil to attack, so summoning that and then evolving it, that would have done, next to nothing. And he had 18 health, and healing for 4 wouldn't have been best, so playing Draconic Fervor and healing for 2, which was perfect.
Evolve into Zell means Zell can take Rahab, and then 8 damage can go to face. That's a strong play to help come back. Zell is one of the key cards in kind of Dragoncraft's combo. And you can just see how much of an advantage that provided. Despite the fact that Namian could choose to Lightning Blast us all, it's scary because it could just happen again. I mean, you never know what else is in hand, right? He could play... I mean, he's got another Wind Reader Zell. If he draws a heavy hitter, if he draws a second Ouroboros, 3 to the face, you're at 9 health and 8 damage swing. That's real close to lethal.
And it's kind of an awkward curve that Namian has here. He's got 3 Lightning Blasts, of course, but there's no follower he can play. There's no 4-cost follower, for example, that he could play and also banish the Ouroboros, maybe keeping the Zell on the field, evolving and attacking into Zell. He's got to choose one or the other. He's either got to play Forte or Israfil or Lightning Blast the whole board, and that just kind of resets it and then essentially giving Lest a free turn. But it does take Lest's Ouroboros off the table for good.
Yeah, so he's going to have to make some decisions here. It's going to be Israfil. And evolve, maybe swing into Ouroboros, leaving it with 2. I think this is probably the ideal option for him here. Ouroboros will return to hand, which means heal for 3.
And now Blazing Breath is the absolute perfect amount of damage to take out this evolved Israfil. Or a Grimnir, if he wants to get that 4 damage to face as well.
He can't play the Blazing Breath as well as the Ouroboros Zell combo.
But he could Blazing Breath Ouroboros. That would clear the board, give 3 damage to face.
So it's going to be Zell. Is he thinking about swinging face again? Looks like it.
Yeah, evolving the Zell would take out the Israfil, and then that's another 8 damage to face, plus the 3 from Ouroboros' Fanfare ability.
Storm pressure is really adding up here for Lest. And we were just talking about how successful Storm Dragoncraft was. And it's certainly demonstrating its prowess right now. 5 health left.
And there's no wards. There's no wards in the hand of Namian. Genesis Dragon is going to come out next turn and absolutely decimate him.
The Lightning Blast, absolutely not effective in this situation. Maybe he can Draconic Fervor and draw into a ward option. But it's just been so tough. We talked a little bit about the trade-off of having something like Lightning Blast. And definitely, I mean, you compare it to the Scythers, right? The Scythers were much cheaper, had that removal effect be present for them. Instead, these beautiful animated Lightning Blasts are still just sitting in hand.
3 wasted draws, essentially. He could heal for 2, but that's still the right amount of damage that Genesis Dragon needs. And Namian has got to know that either Zeus or Genesis Dragon or Forte is going to be in the hand of Lest. That's at least 9 options of cards. Well, he's already played.
He certainly needs some combination of healing and ward. And even then, it's I mean, not having evolve limits your options a little bit, but it's so tough to imagine a situation where Namian comes out alive here. Ayala. Fervor for the draw. And I think he's gambling on the fact that there's No ward out there.
He's got to. He's got to.
Damn.
Maybe playing Fervor,
Or,
hoping
sorry, no Storm.
hoping that he could have drawn Bahamut or Rahab for a ward.
Yep. And unfortunately, that will be it for Namian. He's going to drop one game here early on.
Well, there's still one more turn left. He's only got 7 attack damage with Genesis Dragon.
That is very true. That is very true.
So Namian has bought himself a turn.
Ouroboros again. The situation grows more and more awkward.
I really like that Lest has chosen to hold on to the Genesis Dragon until he's got lethal. Knowing that probably an Aesir Fill was in the hand for Namian and some Draconic Fervor and other types of healing.
There it is. The Lightning Blast will finally clear out that Ouroboros, but Genesis Dragon will drop here.
That's right, and that's going to be game 1. Going over to Lest in this Dragon versus Dragon matchup. We'll see what Namian's, or excuse me, we'll see what Lest's second deck is going to be.
So due to the Conquest format, Lest was able to take a win with Dragoncraft, so he now has to move on to his alternate deck and see if he can take the second win there. Namian still has a chance to fight back. Genesis Dragon was something that we talked about. That's 7 damage, right? And as Envy mentioned, oftentimes when you get to that point in the game, you don't have an Evolve Orb left.
Right.
And it was spent for very good purposes, right? Using the Zell Ouroboros combo constantly to just get the 8 damage to face as well as the 3 damage.
Yeah, he used both of his
damage.
Evolve points on the Zell to get a lot of damage, at least 16 damage to face with the Ouroboros.
And I think using the Evolve Orbs in that manner was so much more effective because you get the effect of both Rush on Zell as well as Storm on the card you drop, in this case Ouroboros. And then finally Genesis Dragon with that 7 damage, the 2 extra damage compared to Zeus, I feel like was nice to have, but I guess ultimately not relevant because there was 5 health remaining on his opponent. But it's interesting to think about those small differences, right?
Right, and now Namian is electing to stay with his Dragoncraft deck into Lest's Shadowcraft deck. And this is an interesting curve for Shadow to be on. Double Lurching Corpse. He does have the Skull Beast, a 1 and a 2 drop. We'll see if the draw and a Bone Chimera, that's a really great curve from Lest. 1, 2, and 3.
I feel like the Lurching Corpses are actually something that you would probably want a little later on because the Isla, you almost want it to die anyways. So playing it on curve just makes it a little awkward.
Yeah, being able to play Lurching Corpse and then Soul Conversion, draw 2 cards, and remove an enemy follower is an amazing play in the late game for only 3 orbs to play. Because then after that, you could play Immortal Thane or Ektar to finish out a full 10-move combo. But in the hand of Namian, we are seeing Sybil and Ouroboros and Aelia. So there's a lot of good chances to ramp next turn if he wants to play Aelia and then go into Sybil in the later game.
Oh, that's rough, having to play Zell right on turn 2. And especially when you're going second, you have 3 Evolution Orbs. That's 3 opportunities for you to storm up one of your cards, but just has to give up that option early, and now Zell has to kind of swing into Lurching Corpse. Oh!
50-50.
Yep. Would have much rather that be Ayla. Zombie Party in hand, and you know, there's not a lot of draw in the hand of the Shadowcraft player, so if somehow this board wipes, it actually could get bad for Lest.
But in the meantime, in these early turns, there's not a whole lot of options that Dragoncraft has. There is Breath of the Salamander, that's some great clear, but it's just going to destroy a Lurching Corpse or Bone Chimera and just put more skeletons on the field as well. Especially if Lest is able to draw into a Catacomb.
Yeah, the Catacomb would be a really interesting addition here, especially for the purposes of Shadow Reaper. There's a lot of opportunities for trading in to gain extra damage. It's like Ayla is going to take down the Lurching Corpse, putting the Shadow Reaper up to 2/2 and ramping up a little bit of mana. The ward to help protect himself, and I think this is smart.
My power is uncontrollable.
There it is.
Very smart. There's going to be 4 defense now that Lest has to chew through. But he does have a 3/3 Shadow Reaper.
Zombie parties.
He could zombie party the Grimnir and then attack with Bone Chimera and then go for face for 4 damage. That'd be a great turn.
Yep. Will he spend the orb, though? We will see. There it is. He actually does. Okay, so he's going full aggro. So there's going to be about 2 turns, unless he draws something, where Lest has kind of an awkward period where there's not such a great turn here. Sybil finally coming out. That's going to ramp and Overflow is active.
And going to give him some health back as well and be able to take out the Shadow Reaper. Really great play, especially considering there's only 2 cards in the hand of Lest.
Yeah. Every little point of health matters. That healing might be just the right amount to save him from the situation. Oh, Orthrus coming down.
Oh, that's going
to
to take out Sybil.
ramping out. That's just that skeleton's looking real handsome right now. He's well groomed. He's got 3 attack on his buddy. His buddy's still sitting there, you know, having difficulties at home, can't find a job, just
down on his luck.
Yep. The other skeleton is like, "What do you just got to work hard, man.
Why don't you have a job, man?"
Look at me. I worked hard. Look at where I am now.
50-50 chance getting the +2 from Orthrus. Working hard.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Salamander will clear. Thane is available for the next turn.
And now we've reached the point of the
there's
game.
The Catacomb.
There it is. That would have been nice 2 turns ago.
Yeah.
But now we've reached the point of the game where Ouroboros is going to come into play. And it's going to be a nasty thing for Shadowcraft that has to deal with that.
Yeah. And, you know, just imagine the difference of having a turn of Catacomb. This board would have been filled with skeletons. You could evolve one of them and possibly even swing for lethal in some situations, right? That Catacomb makes such a big difference.
Absolutely. And there's still an Evolve Orb on the hand of Les. 8 health for Namian, which means a fully evolved ghosts from Phantom Howl. It's not going to be. It's going to be 1 damage short.
It'll be 1 damage short. It'll be 7. But yeah, you're right. I mean, these little differences, right? We talk about how much the healing may have mattered, right? 3 health, or if you had 1 more skeleton to ping 1 damage, you know, that may have made the difference. There's so many little things that could have happened getting up to this point that have changed it. But right now, it's a little bit of an awkward situation. Is there a way to even clear the board here? For the
an Evolved Easterfill would do the trick. It would take out the whites, and the whites wouldn't have their effect of dealing damage to the enemy follower when an ally follower is destroyed. But of course, Breath of the Salamander are going to do the exact same thing.
And really, between the two choices, Israfil or the Breath of the Salamander, I feel like we would rather not spend that evolution orb, right?
Right. If you can hang on, if you're hoping to draw the Zell with the Ouroboros, that's what you want.
He's got the White King for 0, a zombie party. He could have a little bit of a party here.
He's not going to play the White King.
He's holding some options, which I think it's kind of smart. Hold some options here. And next turn, if he really wanted to, he could swing then convert as well, gaining lots of value. Zell is available to give something Storm the Ouroboros. And so Dragoncraft is thinking very heavily. It's going to be Israfil, restoring fort defense. Fantastic value off of that card.
And now the White King is going to be able to trade into Israfil because it gains Bane when it's summoned and you have more than 4 shadows.
It's got 17 guys holding on to a lot of shadows.
Saving under those shadows for a rainy day. The rainy day has come.
What are you hiding inside?
Catacomb is going to allow it to spawn a little tiny 1/1 skeleton.
The bones embrace me.
Oh, he's going to draw Death's Breath. What a great card. Throwing the Skull Beast in there just for good measure. Is he going to spend the evolve point? He is.
Does not want that Israfil to attack next turn and completely wipe out his board. That would put a lot more skeletons on the field, but still, that's a real nasty attack that Israfil's got.
Got another Breath of the Salamander. How great has that been for the Dragoncraft player in this
Absolutely getting great value out of those cards.
Yeah. Now, he's going to have 1 skeleton remaining. There it is. Hey, buddy. And he's just going to play Zell. Now, there's no more Evolution Orbs anymore, so that option is off the table.
He could have Olivia in his deck. We don't know if he does.
That's very true.
If he draws into that, I'll be really happy being able to predict that. We don't see it usually. Most players elect it's kind of a wasted turn if you're really trying to ramp up that damage.
What the heck? Got the ward on it as well. What a strong turn.
And the Storm from Forte is kind of mitigated by the fact that these zombies are going to be able to take that out completely. Ouroboros as well, 3 damage to take out one of the zombies, but there's a lot of pressure on the board from Lest, and Nami doesn't have a great answer to it.
The +1, I mean, look how annoying that is, the difference between 2 and 3 toughness. Just that +1 on health was...
It is the perfect amount of health for a Hungering Horde, if this was a blood deck.
A Hungering Horde.
Alas.
Please bring blood. Please. God. This is so difficult. All right. There's no real option to game rush. He's not going to swing with the Zella. And I think
Oh, and
that's
an
pretty
Ector.
smart.
That is
Oh
exactly
my
the card that Les
God.
wanted to draw in his hand right there.
Yep. Here's the boy. Demon Lord Ector. Oh, God. Oh, God. It's just exactly
The right amount of damage.
the right
that he
amount of
needed.
damage. Yep.
That's-
Ector. There were people who were talking about how Ector, they were like, oh, I'm not sure about this card. I don't know. I'm pretty sure about the card.
That right there just made you sure. Made me sure.
Yeah.
Really great card coming
like
in to great effect.
It's like a Wind God that's actually, like, super good.
Super good Wind God.
Yeah. Wind God is, like, pretty good.
And it only costs